everybody, and welcome to GameSpot Presents Now Playing. Today we're going to have a look at Lord of the Rings War in the North, courtesy of our friend Jason Olander here from Snowblind, senior designer on the game. Jason, thanks a lot for dropping by.
Right, thanks a lot for having us by.
All right, cool. So we've actually got the game loaded up here. Jason, before, or as you get started right now, go ahead and kick off the action. But for everybody out there who might not be familiar with War in the North, can you give them the quick primer?
Absolutely. So Lord of the Rings War in the North is an action RPG based, of course, in Tolkien's Middle-earth. We feature a brutal combat system, lots of severing, blood flying, really hard-hitting combat, all around a brand new narrative created from the Lord of the Rings books that takes place simultaneously with the Lord of the Rings and the Fellowship quest to destroy the ring at Mount Doom.
All right. So let's go ahead and get started on our journey here. Go ahead and let us know which environment we're in right now.
Sure. So right now we're looking at Gundabad, Mount Gundabad. This is actually approach in the far north mountains of Middle-earth. And so we're actually playing co-op right now. And with me are a couple of cohorts. So Andre McGuire, our lead designer, and Ruth Tomato, our producer, are behind the scenes playing the other characters right now. So Gundabad comes a lot later in the game, or actually about mid-game, I guess, late mid. And so the idea here is we are coming in to investigate rumors of an enemy army gathering in forces. So it's almost a commando mission at this point.
Oh, okay. So we've obviously got three-player co-op here. Can you describe the differences between these three characters, who they are?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm playing the dwarf Farron, who is a champion of Erebor, which is also called the Lonely Mountain, for everybody who's familiar with the stories. He's sort of the tank archetype that you would expect in games. You know, hard-hitting, can take a lot of damage, you know, wields a giant weapon, and is really the one to come in and take the brunt of the damage. With him is Andriel. She's an elven lore master of Rivendell. You can see right now she's casting a support spell. She really excels at support, so healing, shielding, but also she's quite badass with weaponry.
Nice.
She can even dual wield, for instance, so she's just as good as melee as everybody else. And then we also have Eridan, who is a Dunedain ranger, actually under the command of Aragorn. As you can see with his bow and his giant quiver there, he is really great at ranged combat. Also has a lot of special skills, but also excels at dual wielding, which is a really cool thing within the game. And so the three of them are really meant to work sort of in conjunction, sort of the archetype tank, the high damage DPS, and the support healer role.
So we should mention to our audience that we're actually going to be switching between the three different characters in the game right now.
So you'll see during combat, a lot of times we will use a lot of the special skills that our characters have. So for instance, I'll bring up the radio manual here. So you see in the lower corner of the screen for me, all my skills that are available to use. This is part of the RPG systems of the game. Allow players to really build the characters out the way they want to sort of help them in their combat. So you can really play the way you want. So while I said archetypes before, it's really about building out your character the way you want to play the game.
Can you talk a little bit about, you know, how the design process of the combat and just how, you know, the blend between sort of action mechanics and like deep role-playing elements and how you went about finding the right middle ground there?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, Andre, who's playing back there, and I think he's mic'd up, might be pretty good for answering that very question.
Yeah, you know, as far as the combat evolution goes, you know, we started with a sort of a basic system for melee combat, and then expanded it into ranged combat. But we wanted to make sure that it tied into the RPG elements of the game, so we put together what we call hero mode, which allows us to kind of go into a hit streak and generate more XP, do more damage. as well as the skill system, which allows us to sort of upgrade our characters the way Jason was talking about, the way you want to play.
All right. Now, I'll go ahead and mention to our audience right now that we are taking live questions, so if you want to get into the chat room, you can do so right now and send us questions, or if you're on Twitter, just tweet your questions to the official GameSpot account, which is just @GameSpot, and we'll try to answer as many as we can over the duration of the show.
They seem to be searching for something. But it can't be us. We've only just arrived, and they're heading the other way.
So you'll see as we actually kill enemies and start smashing some crates and opening chests, everybody gets their own copy of loot in the game, which is very much in our co-op vein of gameplay.
Okay.
You're never fighting over loot in War in the North. Everybody gets their own sort of version of a loot drop. Meaning that, oops, sorry. So there are special items, of course, all over the game. Special weapons, thousands of pieces of armor, you name it. And it's really about, sorry, as I go through the inventory screens there.
No problem.
Building your character out with all that inventory, but with the shared loot system, not only do we all get our own versions of it and there's no fighting, but we can even trade with each other. If you get a really killer weapon that maybe is not useful for your character, you can hand it off to one of your comrades for them to use. So I'll actually go in here and show a little example of some of the looting that goes on here in a bit. If you guys are ready.
Sure. Real quickly, in the meantime, we've got a question on Twitter from Hellraiser28 who's wondering, are skill tree adjustments permanent, or can you go back and tweak them later on?
We do allow respeccing along the way.
Okay.
You actually have to gather enough money in the game to purchase a token to do that. So it is something you'll have to work towards, but you can sort of rejigger your skills along the way.
Just to kind of expand on that a little bit, also you can switch characters along the way as well. So if you're playing the ranger character, you want to check out what's going on with the elf skill tree. You can switch and then distribute the points you want to in that particular character.
Yep, you guys ready?
All right, we're all set up.
All
I
right.
think so. Uh-oh.
So you'll see here we actually do gate in some cases. In co-op it's very important. We want to keep the fellowship together. And so we'll actually cause you to come up and proceed together. So now we have a whole different challenge in front of us. You can see a couple trolls. Some Uruk-hai and orcs are coming up now, or just orcs in this case. Shield bearers, you name it. So we have trouble.
You did mention this level comes a bit later in the game, right?
Yeah, this is a little tougher, and we have.
So you're not just throwing this at players right away?
No, this is definitely not what you're going
tutorial.
to see right in the beginning of the game. This is actually a great example of sort of the mix of enemies that we have within the game. So you see sort of the standard fighters, and they just get in the way, and you have to get rid of them. And then really large enemies like trolls, defensive units. And so it becomes a question of how are you going to approach, dealing with this as a group. Ooh, trouble for me. Time to potion back up. We are an RPG, of course. So we have health potions and power potions. Power is what feeds your skills and allows you to continue to use them. And of course, health, keeps you moving. So right now we're getting a little scattered out, which is probably bad.
All right, just a reminder, guys, we do have a chat room, which you can enter from the video player on the site, where you can ask us questions from there, in addition to Twitter. One of those chat room questions is, are there any bonus bosses like Smog or the Witch King?
Are there any bonus bosses? So I won't comment on those in particular. And now, oops, and then I went down.
Oh, hey.
We have several large enemies and bosses throughout the game. Of course, we have the main villain, whose name is Agendour. At some point, it's most likely you're going to have to deal with him. Trolls are just a taste of sort of the boss and mini bosses that we have. In fact, a little bit later, we'll probably show something more as a real boss that you see.
These trolls certainly come close to boss form, though.
They are enormous. They can take a lot of damage, and they're a little bit slower to swing.
Right.
But if you manage to get in the way, as you saw me do a couple times, they will take you down. And then when they're mixed in with other forces, it just makes it very difficult.
Yeah. Oh, also I need help.
We actually haven't pulled any punches on the difficulty of the game either.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we've purposely made it challenging. You know, we feel like you'll feel a lot more successful if you can get through a good challenge instead of just making everything easy. So the game could be pretty tough.
Yeah, I mean, we're pretty good at this game, but...
Yeah, we're having trouble.
There we go.
There you go. That's
All right.
what you do. So that right there, since nobody else chimed in, was Belaram the Great Eagle. He's almost a fourth member of the Fellowship. You meet him pretty early on in the game, and he becomes your companion. And in outdoor environments, you can actually call him in dicey situations like this to sort of take down the big enemies and help you clear people out. And he comes down and does all sorts of just incredible attacks. He'll rip heads off, throw people off cliffs.
One of our questions from the chat room right now is, how long can you expect the campaign to be?
So the campaign is about 15 to 20 hours on the first run.
On the first try?
Right.
Okay.
As you progress through the game, you will not level up, or reach the level cap, I'm sorry, nor see everything there is, all the equipment and loot there is in the game, until about 3 playthroughs. So the level cap is 40.
I'm down again.
You'll finish the first campaign, somewhere in the realm of level 19, 20. So 15 to 20 for the first run through, and then probably about the same for others. And that's,
Nice.
there we go, there's a troll.
All right, nice work.
Yeah. So now we will, a couple of stragglers we'll take care of. And actually on the campaign, you continue to progress your character on the subsequent playthroughs. The difficulty increases, of course.
Right.
And we actually have loot that's specific for those higher levels. In fact, we have some stuff that's so epic, you really wouldn't find it until the very end of that last, that third playthrough of the game. So
how do you guys handle character level disparities between players?
That's a great question. So in single player mode, the AI who take over control for any for the Fellowship that isn't controlled by human members will level up along with the player.
Okay.
And even as Andre mentioned, you switch characters in various levels. It'll keep them leveled up along the way with you. In co-op mode, online or split screen for the console versions, we do allow you to join with just about any other level of character, but we try to preserve your particular story.
Okay.
So that, if you haven't seen everything in the game, you can go and join a friend who may be a lot higher than you. You're gonna have a lot of trouble, of course, but we'll actually preserve your narrative along the way as well. So we don't restrict so much in that case.
All right, so we're seeing on the screen there a little character customization. We actually had a chat question not too long ago asking to explain customization. Do you have preset characters, or can you create your own and choose your class?
So we do have these 3 preset characters. It's part of the narrative line of the story, so we felt it important to keep these 3 together to make sure everything works. But you can customize along the way. I mentioned loot to begin with. So obviously thousands of items. Anything you find and equip in the game will appear on your character, as you can see. And also, we allow you to customize the appearance of the characters as well. So in various towns, Bree, Rivendell, for instance, you can find a mirror, and you'll adjust your hair, your facial features, all that kind of stuff. So you can customize appearance and, of course, all your gear and loot.
Okay.
And I think we're done in here?
All right.
Yeah.
Yep. Right.
Yep. Cool. I think we should
Yeah, so the next level we have to show is Mirkwood, which we can switch over to.
Yeah, we'll switch over to
Yeah.
Mirkwood.
All right, let's go ahead and get that switched over then.
Right on.
So normally, this would be the part that gets conveniently left out during the magic of the editing process. But since we're live, you guys get to see the thrilling process of switching Xbox profiles and loading a new save game. It's
That's
live.
right.
Then you're gonna host it. Okay,
Yep.
cool.
Yeah, so I'm hosting a game.
Yeah, we wanted to show some vignettes, from various levels, various environments. So,
So hit X.
while we do the little switchover thing,
Oh, you already got one. Okay.
Yep.
we thought it'd be cool instead of going through an entire sequence, show some different spots in the game.
All right, here we go. And what's this next environment we're checking
So,
out?
we are moving into Mirkwood now, which is a lot of fun to do. It's something that's mentioned in the books, of course, and The Hobbit and other previous books, but it's something players haven't really seen. So fans get a chance to visit a place that they've only just read about but not seen visually, and we got a chance to create a really amazing visual environment, as you'll see.
Yeah, that must have been fun for you guys, especially the artist working on environments that were never really
Absolutely.
depicted in the literature.
Absolutely. So we came from a great spot. We have the license to the books as well as the movies.
Oh, okay.
And so, as you can see in there, we have a lot of visuals that we were able to pull from the films. So be able to take inspiration in combat, story, and narrative and equipment from the books and the wealth that Tolkien has in those, and also be able to pull the visuals from the films and the work that Peter Jackson and Weta did was just a great combination. So we get to build our worlds. Yeah, they were very excited. The artists love working on this stuff, and the levels look really great.
All right. And now you did want to mention one caveat about the load times.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for mentioning that. So load time's a little bit slower on this. This is almost final code, but not quite the retail version.
Okay.
So it loads a little bit slower than normal. Normally the levels will load quicker than this.
All right. So one of our chat questions is asking to explain the gems in the game and what type of effects they have.
Yes, we don't have gems, or there's elf stones in the game,
Stones?
is what
Okay.
they're called. So those are the gems. We have a slotting system. So, oops,
Uh-oh. Let's try that one more time.
go one more time. So we do have a slotting system. It allows you to add special properties and abilities to weapons, armor. So for instance, you can find an ice elf stone, and if you have a weapon that allows that slot, you can put it in there and suddenly you have an ice sword or an ice axe, whatever the case may be. We have a ton of different elf stones, everything from adding deep wounds, extra damage, to ice, fire, extra armor, you name it. So those are a ton of those to find and customize your gear within the game as well.
All right.
A little trouble here.
Just some slight technical difficulties.
There we go.
Got it? There we go.
All right. Let's see. One of the other questions we've got is about crafting skills and also about the idea of trading weapons. Is there any of that?
Yep, you can do both actually. So
Okay.
crafting is actually a specialization of Andriel, the elf. She can gather herbs and various plants within the world and craft a whole host of potions and elixirs and all sorts of other goodies. And as far as trading goes, we absolutely support trading anything in your inventory to other players as well. So you can gift things or do a flat trade. And one thing I should definitely mention is that things you acquire in a saving game of multiplayer. So you can trade off that really cool axe. You'll actually bring it back with you into your own games. So loot you acquire stays with you, which is really great.
All right.
For some reason that didn't take. There we go.
All right. Now
right.
that you're all set up,
Yep,
let's,
leveled up. So here we are in Mirkwood. And I will lead the way into danger.
as any good dwarf does.
That's right. It's actually a little tough to see there, but we have some with some orcs being actually attacked by the spiders. So not all creatures in Middle Earth are really pick a side.
So one of our live chat room questions, they're wondering about how progress works for the players who are not the host of the match.
If you're, it basically comes down to this. If you're pretty close in storylines and levels with the players you're playing with, it doesn't have to be exact, your progress will continue.
Okay.
You'll be able to go ahead and you'll level up, gain experience, and all that will come back with you.
Okay.
Co-op is really the huge strength of the game, obviously, which is why we wanted to do something a little more complicated today for the show and actually show you a full cooperative game. So yeah, anything you can do as long as you're in sort of the same area of the story and leveling will come back with you in your single-player games.
Well, and even if it's not saving your story progress, it still saves all of your loot and experience that you get.
Yes,
so
that's good.
yeah,
Okay.
so you definitely keep your character when you go
Yeah,
back to
sorry,
it.
that's a good point.
Another one of our live chat room questions, are there any competitive elements to the co-op? Any reason why one player might try to one-up the other?
So there actually are. We have, let's see if I can get one going here. Oops.
Oh,
So we have experiences generally given out evenly. We want to keep people a little bit together, but there are some chances to get bonus experience. And so as you can see over on my screen, which is on right now, a little 4x. So I'm actually gaining some bonus experience from some special combat moves. And so that's one way to sort of one-up the other players. At the end of levels, we'll actually show, I really need to pay more attention before I die, and I'm down. At the end of levels, we'll actually go through and show a lot of statistics, who killed how many monsters, what was the most damage dealt out, a whole host of things, and so you can compare against the other players. This is a great co-op moment right here. I actually went down. So now that you have a period of time where if one of your comrades goes down, you can try and go revive them. And so right now, they're trying to revive me. If they don't do it in time,
Oh,
you hear that? If you don't do it in time,
oh.
then we're going to have to restart from the checkpoint.
You are dead.
Flip over to the other one.
Now we do save checkpoint along the way, so we
Okay.
haven't lost all our progress.
That's
we'll
good.
just kind of fire right back
good.
up from where we were.
You learn from your mistakes and
That's
you
right.
move on.
It's not like I've played this 1,000 times. No.
Well, and you really do have to pay attention, I was too busy fighting the spiders, but you have to pay attention to what the other players are doing and help them out, because it's easy to get killed.
Yeah. And as you
Also
can see,
on the point of competitiveness, again with the with our hero mode, being able to go into hit streaks, being able to get bonus XP. Even though everybody gets a base amount of XP, you still have that opportunity to get bonus XP, level up your character more efficiently, unlock more skills and moves, and in some ways that can be kind of a bit of a race to get that additional bonuses.
So one of the questions we've got on Twitter from Daniel Roberts 94, he's wondering about how the levels unfold, how much choice you have, and where you go next, and that sort of thing.
sounds like a question for Ruth.
Oh, so it's kind of a hub and spoke system. So when you get to a hub, a town, which I think we have 4 towns, you'll find a lot of side quests there.
Okay.
And a lot of those side quests will encourage you to go back and replay levels that you already played, but differently. So you can go back to levels you've already played and play as a different character, or find the side quests. In this level, we may not find it, but there is a side quest that's unlocked just by exploring and finding a character who's been captured. So there's certainly plenty of exploration to do. The main story is more straightforward, but there, if you want to extract the lore and find the side quests, there's definitely plenty to do.
All right. So just a reminder, everybody, that we are taking questions in our chat room, which you can access right by the video player. There should be a link that says join chat, or you can just tweet us questions to the official GameSpot account, which is just @GameSpot.
Killed.
Don't be a hero.
That's right.
I'm trying not to die.
I know. We're actually.
You said you didn't pull any punches.
No, we
did you?
really didn't.
I mean, there is an easy difficulty, but this is normal, and
Right.
normal is fairly hard.
That's actually a good point. So we have 4 levels of difficulty.
Okay.
You start on standard, and this is actually our normal or standard difficulty, and then you unlock the higher difficulties as you finish the campaign. And there is an easy mode, which is available right from the get-go. Yes,
if
this
you're gonna get covered in
describes the
black
value
light,
of
you
health
have to work
potions.
I'll stock up.
Cool. So I'm in heroic, or I was in heroic mode there and building up my attack combo. Have you talked about hero mode yet?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, just briefly. We'll see if we can.
So that allowed me
I'm
to
having so
actually
much
kill
trouble
those
getting through that
spiders.
scenario.
Yeah. Let's see, do we want to switch over? Or do we want to see more of Mirkwood?
Yeah, let's switch over.
Want to do it?
All right.
All right.
All right.
Go ahead and switch over to the next
Little taster of
environment.
each environment.
Yeah.
In the meantime, we've got another question from our chat room. They're wondering how the conversation system works and how you guys have addressed that recent RPG trend of, giving players their options over morality.
So there are a couple choices along the way. I definitely don't want to give away a couple near the end that are actually pretty heavy hitting. Our conversations, like I said, it's very much a Tolkien narrative, and so there are choices in the conversations that don't necessarily affect the sort of how your hero is perceived. We very much wanted to keep it in. They are heroes, and you're definitely the good guys. And so as far as turning yourself evil or bad in this case, that doesn't really happen. There are tons of conversations in the game, lots of great voice acting that's going on. You have a lot of chances to interact with characters from the films and the books as well, which is really cool, as well as a lot of new characters. So a lot of stuff to talk about. And for the fans of the books and the movies, there's really a lot to sort of delve into the deeper backstory of the game and what's going on as you go through the conversations. Oh wait, I didn't switch.
Yeah, switch profiles.
Profiles, right.
All right.
What do we got? I'm with you.
For anybody who doesn't know, this is what an Xbox dashboard looks like.
We're gonna switch to a level Forhost. Oh, well, yeah, which is earlier in the game, so it'll be a little bit earlier. We won't have quite as many skills. And it's a sort of ancient ruined city, a little bit in the north. Pick the one that's not 360.
Not 360. Okay, thank you.
And yeah, it's a little early in the game, so we have different profiles.
It's actually kind of a cool story thread. We're going to meet up with Elrond's sons.
Yeah, that's right. So it's an example of the characters that are in the books, but not the films.
Yep. So Elrohir and Elladan.
That's right.
And it's actually a cool example of how throughout the game you're fighting along. There's the three allies, but you're also fighting along other characters as well. So in this case, with Belaram, our party is going to grow to 6.
I love the setup here of me and Jason just sitting, not doing anything, and listening to you guys talk off screen.
Well, we're on the disembodied, disembodied voices. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah. You see our characters. That's good enough.
At least you can see the backdrop.
To the viewers, it probably just looks like some internal monologue going on right now.
Just thinking out loud in 3 different voices.
All right, so where are we right now?
All right, so we are now in Forhost. This is actually early in the game. Oops. And apparently we are all still level 16, which is great.
That's handy.
So this should be a lot easier than the spiders. This is actually pretty early in the game, where our heroes really begin to learn the depth of the threat to the north. Forhost is, for lore fans, is one of the old Dunedain cities of the north, assaulted, taken, retaken back in the ancient wars. And so rumor has it that some evil person is building forces here, and we're here to investigate. And of course, kill lots of things.
So one of the questions that we've got coming in from our audience, they're asking if you can explain how controls work. You're obviously playing on 360 right now. Could you explain how the controls are mapped and how you access abilities and things like that?
Yeah, absolutely. So for the Xbox in particular, the X button is a normal attack. So that's sort of, here, since I'm on screen, it's that attack right there. It's the standard thing. Y button is a heavy attack, much slower, does a lot more damage, and is important for breaking, blocking enemies, you know, shields, or if they're blocking with their swords. Accessing all of the skills that you can purchase as you build your character is a pretty simple matter. You hold down the like a little right trigger, for instance, and you'll get a bunch of melee skills. And so you'll see them in a little wheel that allow you to call them up. We also support it in range mode, so you can have skills for range. Same deal, pull in range mode, hit the corresponding button to fire a skill. And even in some cases, though I don't have a shield right now, we have blocking skills as well. So all the skills themselves are modal, and the wheels work pretty much the same. And then, you know, the standard attacks. B is dodge, rolling out of the way, and A is basically the context button, looting button, conversations, that sort of thing.
Now, I would be remiss and just endlessly harassed by our legion of passionate PC fans if I didn't ask about how things work on the PC version.
Absolutely. So we support 2 modes, actually. We support an Xbox controller, which is just the way I described. You plug it in and it goes. But we also have a full keyboard and mouse configuration. The HUD will actually change a little bit if you're using that configuration in a more sort of classic PC mode, where you'll still have modal skills, but they'll show up as sort of quick slots on the bottom of the screen, for instance. And you know, mouse and keyboard controls for attacking. You know, left click to left click to attack, and you know, right click for specials, and all the hotkeys you'd expect. So we do support both modes completely. And like I said, we actually changed the screen a little bit if you're in that other mode, if you're in PC keyboard mode. Which actually works really well. So you can see right now, we're trying to hold off the waves, and I'm remiss in my protection duties. We have these mounted turrets, and so we have a lot of different kinds of missions within the game as well. So you'll see Andriel here, mounting up that turret, and she's firing off that thing. You get a whole new HUD from that. There we go, switch over. And that's actually a brutal weapon. Sometimes it's used against you, and then sometimes you can actually take it and use it against the enemies as well. So before we had kind of a commando assault mission, now we're in a defensive mode, and so we'll switch things up, you know, in missions as well as throughout the game as well.
So that you're not just moving from point A to point B, killing everything in the way?
Right. Killing everything in the way is always good, but sometimes they come to you, sometimes you're trying to be a little more quiet. And so yeah, definitely have a lot of different game modes that is going on.
One of the questions we've got from the chat, it's from a would-be entrepreneur who's wondering about the possibility of an in-game store where you buy, sell, trade equipment and weapons. Is that something that you guys have or have ever considered?
Well, if you mean actually trading or selling between players, yes. Selling or anything like that, auction houses, that sort of thing, for actually trading between people, no. As far as looting goes, if it's more about that, we do have stores in the game.
Okay.
You can go and buy, weapons, armor, supplies, everything you need. Yeah. And we also have armors in the game. Your weapons and equipment will degrade over time, and so you'll have to go to the towns and actually find an armor to repair your gear. So we have full store support, and
I leveled up. I'm going to level up. Oops.
As well as equipment, resupply, and repair. Looks like Andriel's ready to go forward.
She's, leveled
I leveled up. Just a second.
Oh, level up time. Good. This is actually a great spot. Then look down there and see her other screen. So you'll see us do that periodically as we're leveling up, and that whole thing is the full skill tree. Every character has their own individual skill tree. There's different items in there. Skills, everything from new attacks that'll actually give you, the new skills that I showed before. You can actually buy new ones to use. And augment your character's combat capabilities to sort of the classic RPG skills, building up your strength, but adding extra armor, healing spells, that sort of thing, and some very co-op centric ones. And for instance, occasionally you'll see Andriel there cast a defensive bubble, which is called Sanctuary, and that actually will heal us and protect us from projectiles as well. Farron will do a big war cry. At that point, everybody in the Fellowship who's around him is getting bonuses to melee and armor. And then Eridan has a very unique one. which is the evasion skill, will actually cause him to go into a stealth mode. He can sneak around and take a really heavy shot at, probably the enemy that's threatening you the most at the moment.
It's really cool to kind of mix up the different abilities so that, if you're the ranger character going into evasion, you can heal up guys without being detected, and that's kind of a cool little strategy. Also, our dwarf character, Farron, can level up the war cry ability to instantly revive allies that have fallen. So there's kind of different combinations you can do depending on what you upgrade. Usually there's co-op aspects to the skills as well.
Or like I can upgrade my bubble to blow up and hurt all the guys around me if I want to do more of a aggressive battle mage build versus a support build.
Yeah, that's a really good point. You can kind of, depending if you want to be more support or more of a tank character, you can skew your character in that way, whatever matches your play style. And it's kind of an example of how the game is really customizable to how you want to play.
Yeah, each of the three characters has a distinct skill tree, but within that skill tree, they each have kind of three different branches that are built on three different play styles. So you can really customize them to play kind of three different ways and fill three different roles in combat. And you'll only get down to the bottom of one of the branches probably during the first playthrough. So if you want to unlock the entire skill tree, you'll have to play through multiple times. Okay, that guy has a shield up.
This is it's a cool example of how the enemies will kind of combine their stuff as well. So we've got a magic user protecting a turtle, so it's kind of a double whammy. And really the challenge now is to figure out how we can kind of get around this guy using our skills to take him out. So I haven't fully upgraded evasion yet for the ranger character, but I'm going to do my best to kind of go invisible to the enemy and then sneak around and take that guy out.
In that case, I'll war cry come up with you then.
Down.
Also, this shield bubble that he has going does damage over time as well, so that's an additional threat.
Oh, nice work.
That was good.
Excellent.
You know what that was? Teamwork.
There is a livery.
Teamwork and cooperation,
That's
if
right.
you will.
You got it.
Speaking of which, one of our questions is wondering about split screen co-op.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. So we support split screen co-op on Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. It's actually a blast to play that way. We support LAN and direct link as well, internet co-op, and you can actually have a combination on the consoles in particular. So you can have split screen for two players, and
There's
somebody else
bonus
can be
coming.
system linked in or even on the internet and join them. For PC, we support. We don't support split screen for PC, but we have. Whoops, sorry, I get killed here. But of course, we have LAN, internet, co-op, and just about any combination you can think of, which is important. You can have one players, two players. The AI will take over whoever's not controlled, which is really great.
Whoa.
And other players can join a game in between chapters. So if you just wait a little while and you're ready to load a new level and hit the next chapter, somebody can join you if they wish. And you can play with friends, private games where you just have your friends, or we even support matchmaking for you, where we'll find somebody who's somewhere around your level range and match up with them to play a game. So a lot of different ways to play co-op.
We've got a question from one of the many achievement junkies out there. He's wondering about co-op specific achievements / trophies.
Yeah, so there's a ton of achievements that we have. They range from everything from helping each other out as far as getting revived or using skills in a certain way that's beneficial to the team. Yeah, we totally have co-op achievements as well as just damage ones and progression-based ones. So there's a big variety of different achievements. And really, I mean, it kind of speaks to the core of the game. Really, everything is about teamwork, working as a team, and combining your skills in a way that benefits the group.
Now here we are, trapped again.
It's a bit of a theme.
Yeah. So we need our allies going to try and help us out, but in the meantime, here they come. So now, hopefully in here, this is actually a great spot to get into it. We haven't talked too much about heroic mode, so I want to try and see if we can get one of us or all three of us can get into it in this mode. Heroic mode is actually, an augmented combat mode, really. If you hit an enemy on a critical strike, and you'll see the little yellow triangle come above their head, you basically hit the Y button when that shows up. That sends you into what we call heroic mode.
Okay.
You start to build up combos, and you've probably seen those along the side of the screen. As we've been playing, the +1, +2, legendary severs, those kinds of messages. Not only are you getting bonuses and streaks for that, you're also doing more damage.
Right side.
The attacks, we use different animation sets, then kind of slow down, you're doing a lot heavier damage. And actually we start bringing in, sort of insta-sever kills on various enemies. So that's really the key to the game, is sort of getting into that flow and then trying to hit heroic mode, and as long as
That comes
possible
from both
trying to
sides.
stay there while using your skills and trying to get every other player into it as well.
Oh. No problem.
Gosh, took my kill.
There you go. Root's got to
I'm down.
That one,
I
no! You're down? All right, I'm coming.
don't. Thank you. So yeah, the ranger went into evasion to get rid of all the aggro on him and revive me, which was very useful.
Yeah, there's some great little tricks to help you revive the other characters. The dwarf can go into war cry so he can't be knocked down, because if an enemy hits you while you're trying to revive somebody, they'll generally take you out of it.
One of the questions we've got from the chat room here, you mentioned side quests a while ago, but they're specifically wondering about backstory. Do those side quests give you backstory on the main narrative, or is it all just sort of like additional sort of standalone?
No, a lot of
mini-stories?
them help flesh out the story. So a lot of the story, the side quest, the narrative is almost built in layers, where if you're interested in a lot of combat and getting back into the action and just killing a lot, you can stay with that sort of main course and move along. If you really want to delve in more, the side quests and the narrative are the place to do it. And there's a lot of great nuggets in there for fans of the whole mythology of Lord of the Rings.
It also goes more into how the narrative of the game ties back into the book, so there are side quests that'll expand on that more. Do we want to hop over to Barrow Downs?
Yeah, let's
Speaking of things that are in the books.
Switch areas.
All right.
All right.
We're going to switch one more time.
One more time to our fourth and final level. All right.
Goodbye, Forhost.
We'll just stay on these profiles, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're getting good at this whole switching thing.
That's
Done it a
right.
lot.
A little taster of everything. What do we do in Barrow Downs?
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, Barrow Downs is another example of something that was in the books but wasn't in the films that we got to draw from.
Hang on a
It's a
second.
cool area. Yeah, it's I don't know if people are familiar with the books, but in the Lord of the Rings, in Fellowship of the Ring, the book, well, Jason could expand on this. The hobbits actually traveled through the Barrow Downs originally, and that was kind of cut from the film for time.
Yeah, absolutely. It made sense for the films, but again, that leads us back to the fact that we have the books and the films. It gives us a great chance to go explore that place everybody went, oh, the most obvious thing that came out of the movies. We get to go there and actually have an entire quest set built around it. So we're going to take a little bit, this is actually later into the Barrow Downs missions. So as you can see, we're in a very different environment now. Very much dungeons and dark. Maybe too dark.
And it's an example of how we're able to take, sort of invent the look of areas that haven't been really explored much, and there's several examples of that in the game. We have familiar areas like Bree and Rivendell, and we'll certainly go to iconic places as well as meet iconic characters. But War in the North also takes takes players to new areas that haven't ever been fully realized.
One cool thing about the Barrow Downs too is we're able to show some more about the Grey Company, who also didn't appear in the books, but it's Aragorn's group of Dunedain Rangers. We can kind of show what they were doing, when the Fellowship first started out, and so there's a whole side quest line and a main quest line about the Grey Company investigating the Barrow Downs, fighting their way through it, getting captured, and so I think we're going to meet one of those guys up here.
All right, one of our questions is, they're asking you to explain the history of this environment. You mentioned sort of why they're going here, but can you explain how this sort of like fits into the larger lore?
Oh, sure. So the Barrow Downs is actually not far from the Shire, just off the borders, and in the stories, you go, Frodo and the hobbits go to the Old Forest, and then eventually they end up in the Barrow Downs. So the Barrow Downs actually set up sort of low-riding hills and valleys that was once the last stand of the last kingdom of men in the north. So as Gondor, that you see in the films and the books, of course, is the big kingdom in the south, there was once a huge kingdom in the north, which over time was defeated by the Witch King, who is the head Nazgul, the chief Nazgul. And so the Barrow Downs is where the last stand was made, and the last remains of the sort of the human princes of the area, the Dunedain princes, were laid to rest. And as you come in here, normally, there shouldn't be a bunch of shades of men running around, but something has got everything stirred up. And so the spirits of men are really possessed by something.
One of the more popular questions that we're getting right now is from people who I believe might have missed earlier in the show when you explained how the mission structure works with the whole hub and spoke element. Can you go ahead and briefly touch on that again for the folks who might have missed that earlier?
Sure, Ruth, did you want to run that down again?
So, there are 4 towns. You start in Bree, which should be pretty familiar to people, and within each of the towns you can find quite a number of side quests that will not only give you more things to look for in the areas you'll go to, but also give you reasons to go back to areas you might have already played. So for example, when you reach Sarnford, there are some quests that ask you to go back to previous areas and find some healing herbs. When you reach Rivendell and speak to Bilbo, he'll give you some more things to look for. You find items that you'll want to ask Elrond about. So there's, when you speak to NPCs, if you really want to dive into that stuff, the side quests will give you reasons to go back and explore more of the lore, find out more about the areas that you're traveling through. And then the other thing is you can switch to different characters between levels. So if you've played through a level as the elf and you want to go back and find all the dwarf secrets that you might have missed, or just play through as the dwarf, you can go back and play through the level, and the enemies will be different, the level will be different, but you can make sure you find all of those secrets.
Yeah, and in each different conversation that you have with the friendly NPCs in the hubs allows you to dig deeper into the lore or find new aspects about what's going on at this particular time, and so there's a lot of depth in the conversation system. Like Ruth said, there's a lot of different side quests you can pick up and ways to expand on it.
Oh, you're down.
Yeah.
It's because you're fighting that powered up guy. Ah!
I'm coming.
Where are you?
I'll save you.
Oh.
As you see there, if I hadn't been in war cry mode, I wouldn't have been able to resurrect him. So it's important to sort of combine your skills with the whole party. God, meanwhile, I might go down.
Another question we're getting from our audience here is they're wondering, is there a screen that records the dialogue so that you can go back and look at it once that's already passed?
Screen that records the dialogue. So we have a quest log, which you can go and revisit a lot of the information that comes with the quest.
Okay.
But we don't particularly support a go back and read every dialogue again.
Okay.
So you can definitely get the meat of whatever the conversation was, if there was, especially if there was important information. All that's preserved in the quest log. It's found in the same set of screens as like the inventory screen and whatnot. Oh, and I forgot to ask you, did you want some hands on?
Sure.
Yeah.
This might be a tough time for me to jump in.
We're in a boss fight, so.
It's gonna get tough. Do you want it?
Do you want me to die right away?
They'll save you, I promise.
I'll
We'll
give it a
try.
shot.
All right,
We'll do our
go.
best.
The most important thing to remember, that's your health potion.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
The
oh.
D-pad right is
Help
your
me.
health.
I'm gonna kill us. Thank you.
Oh
It's
God.
actually giving me a chance to point something out. Yeah, you might want to. Skills are great. If nothing else, hold down that right trigger and just hit one of those buttons. The war cry is the most important one that you just hit there.
Oh, hit streak.
Roll out of the way.
That's right. So as you're learning in the heat of battle, wasn't that sweet of me?
That was awfully nice of you, Jason. Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Sure, no problem. You're welcome. Tired of looking bad myself.
Yikes.
You can actually see we have the this particular enemy, the Barrow White, will show sort of nameplates and health bars for bosses and mini bosses. We don't do it for every enemy, obviously, as you've seen through the game. But that kind of tells you that this is a special target and lets you know what their status is. Because off to the right, even though you're fighting all these guys, that dude is over there flinging rocks at you from across the chasm.
So far, I've managed to stay alive, which is good.
The important thing is to stay near the group. Oh, so if you turn back around. Oh, sure. So if you turn back around a little bit, and then hit the Y button, you see that triangle. Very important.
Am I heading back to these guys, or?
So I'm going to go ahead and take some of these questions while you're playing.
Sure, sure.
So there's one right there. It says, what are the 4 main areas?
Uh-oh.
Nope.
Yep, let's switch over to the other one.
Do one more?
One more?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. I'll let you handle this part.
So what are the 4 main areas? The 4 that we're showing today were Forhost, Mount Gundabad, which is far north of Middle-earth, Mirkwood, of course, and then that was the Barrow Downs. Within the game, you'll visit a lot of different regions. You'll see, the Eton Moors and Rivendell and Bree, the Grey Mountains in the north, Mirkwood, and even a dwarven mansion called Nordenbad, which we've shown, I think at Gamescom and a couple other places as well.
So where are we headed to next?
So
I think we're
let's
gonna
do,
the other part of Mirkwood.
yeah, let's do the other part of Mirkwood.
Okay.
The other part?
A little
Okay.
bit further into Mirkwood.
All right.
Yep. So you want to switch your save game?
Switch.
Yeah.
Is it a profile?
Switch profiles.
No,
I think we're good on that.
You're fine on the profile. Just switch
Okay.
your save game, so that you're not level
There you are.
7 in Mirkwood. That would be difficult.
Saving
Yeah,
the
we do
chooses.
that.
Okay, that's
Nice.
Awesome.
Alright.
Cool. And I've
You're
got the game
hosted
up. Yep.
All right, and if you want back in,
Sure.
I guess. So I missed the other question that went by. Are there any challenge maps? Which is actually something I really want to, or Andre could probably talk about too.
Yeah, sure. Definitely. Actually, partway through the game, you'll unlock 2 challenge maps, Lorien and Esgiliath, and it's cool. It sort of acts as an arena-style combat experience that is not really attached to the story. It's just sort of bonus content based on 2 really iconic locations, and so we've themed them out, and the different enemies that are in there are representative of what you'll find in the game, but it's very challenging, and it's a great opportunity to get bonus experience and loot, and as well as get achievements.
Yeah, and on a side note, they're a blast to play in co-op mode. It's just a
Yeah,
scream
really
to sit there and try and get through that thing because the waves just keep on coming. So your dodge button is your friend here. There you go. And whenever you see that triangle, hit the yellow button. So there you
Yeah,
go.
nice.
Final blow. Nice. So you get a little bonus. That's the sort of the heroic mode and some of the combat events that we track.
And again, the experience is doled out to everybody for each enemy killed, but that bonus experience that you're getting on top of that is just for your character. So if you're really trying to maximize, what your character can do and fill out the skill tree as much as possible, it's really a benefit to get that XP, which is also noted in the lower left corner there with the yellow bar.
Yeah.
So,
And if you're able to coordinate it so that 2 of the players do a critical strike at the same time, you get a big XP bonus for that.
Yeah, there's co-op bonuses as well. It's really a good idea to try to get into those, get into that hero mode, get that hit streak as high as possible, and get all the experience you can get. Achievements.
There's another question sitting there. Well, Sean attempts to survive. So you mentioned the game is 15 to 20 hours earlier. Is that with or without side quest? So it's about 15, sort of just plowing through the game. So probably closer to the 20-hour mark with the side quest on the first playthrough. Like I said, that doesn't include any subsequent playthroughs at higher difficulty levels while you continue to level up the character and gain new loot as well. See a new class of enemies that we haven't looked a whole lot at yet. These are Urukai, of course. So the heavy hammer guys are a unique challenge. They're very tough. It's not too hard to dodge that swing if you can manage to get out of the way, but if you get hit by that thing, it's brutal.
Yeah, this is fairly far into the game, so you're getting, Urukai, both the hammer-wielding Urukai as well as the shield and sword guys, the bowmen, and it's really an example of some of the harder challenges in the game where you're.
You trigger and you should be able to call
every
the eagle
character
here.
is
So A
practically
button.
a little mini boss.
There you go.
Not to Bellaram.
Yeah.
That's a handy
good
little
effect.
attack.
Bellaram will come through the trees in Mirkwood and help you out.
Oh, is that his head rolling down here?
That was the Uruk's head rolling down into the swamp.
Sorry, buddy.
It's all right. He deserved it.
He did. He really did.
Yeah, you have a limited number of times you can call Bellaram, and there is a cooldown, but it's definitely a good thing to save up for big guys.
Yeah, he is the super weapon for tight spots. It's just like, when you're right on the edge and you really need him. Plus, I have to say, he probably has the best voice acting in the game.
This is an example of a side quest that you unlock just by exploring in the
Awesome.
world. So we've just found an elf who's been captured by the orcs, and if we rescue him, then he'll give us a side quest to help him out.
So yeah, that was actually a little side quest. This whole section was a side quest to go find somebody, and he has an effect on what happens later. We're not going to get into that right now, though.
Okay.
So let me look at
We
another
won't give
couple
that away.
questions here, since I'm forgetting all that. How many total areas to explore? So areas,
I think there's
what,
about
like half
there's
a
about,
dozen? About 6?
No, there's probably 12 different areas, but within each area there can be between 1 and 4 levels. So some of the areas like Mirkwood have 4 levels.
That's true.
Forhost has 5.
Yeah.
But then Rivendell has 1. So it depends. But there's about I think there's 12 or 13 different areas, not counting the challenge missions.
Right.
Right, and then it was Gilead and Lorien on top
Yeah.
of that.
I mean, basically, if you look at a map of Middle Earth and you look at the north, pretty much anywhere on that map we're going to go to.
Then what was another question? Do you have an estimate of how many main quests and how many side quests? I don't
let's see if
actually
we
have an
look at
answer to that. There's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
than
look
you
at your
can
quest
remember.
log, and that might give an idea.
Yeah, the quest log contains all that information,
Yeah.
but more than we can recall.
So is that the end of our journey in terms of the mission here?
We'll keep going a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm gonna follow in a little bit.
I'll follow you. We'll just
A
leave
little
that
more
elf
fighting
tied
to
up.
do.
A little more fighting. Never done fighting in
under
Middle
normal
Earth.
circumstances, you
No,
free to
that's really the core of the whole thing. It's about co-op and it's about the combat experience. And as you're getting used to the controls there, hopefully you can see that it's more of a fluid combat than really just straight hack and slash. So sort of an evolution of things that Snowblind Studios has done before.
They're not happy about our choices. Uh-oh.
Can you remind me what those 3 icons are on the HUD there above the...
Yeah, absolutely. So each of those represents a member of the Fellowship. The eagle icon is probably pretty obvious. That means he is available. And then each character has their own icon. So the other 2, the Elven Lore Master and the human Dunedain Ranger, that's each of their symbols.
Nice.
And so it's actually, when you get to checkpoint doors, you'll see all 3 symbols have to merge together to say, oh, you're all together and you can continue now. And as you go through the game, the secret hidden areas that only one character can see to find some special loot will have those symbols on there too. There's another question up there. It's what other specials will the characters have? I'll go ahead and say that means abilities and things like that. So they each have their own unique skill tree, meaning they have unique melee attacks, unique ranged attacks, and a ton of passive and co-op skills they can use. As far as loot goes, each of them is able to detect a special area that's unique to their race. So the dwarf can see special dwarven caches, and same for the elf and the human. And there's really kind of prime loot for everybody in those spots. The Elven Lore Master can collect herbs to make potions and special elixirs. So those types of things are also skills.
And there's some secret doors that she's the only one who can find.
Yep. And will there be multiple endings? Will there be multiple endings, and will our choices affect the outcome? I don't want to comment too much on that. There's a couple choices in particular at the end that can definitely affect how the game finishes. Let's just say that.
That's right. Good answer.
You're welcome. Yeah. It's too cool. I don't want to give it away.
All right, should we wrap it up here at the checkpoint?
Sure. All right.
Sounds good.
So yeah, I mean, we've definitely showed quite a bit of the game. We don't want to show everything. We have to save some surprises for when people actually get their hands on it. Jason, thanks a lot for dropping by.
We really appreciate it.
Ruth, Andre, even though we haven't seen you guys during the show, thanks a lot for you guys chiming in throughout the program. So can you go ahead and remind everybody out there when War in the North is going to be out in stores and the platforms it'll be out for?
Yeah, absolutely. So War in the North comes out November 1st in North America. And we are available on Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, and PC.
All right. There you guys have it. That was our now playing for Lord of the Rings War in the North, which is, as Jason said, coming out very soon. Also coming soon, later today actually, or later tonight, we have another now playing. We're going to be playing Battlefield 3 and going over to the local midnight launch event here in San Francisco. That'll be kicking off at around 11:45 p.m. Pacific time. It's sort of an interesting time, but as we mentioned, it is the midnight launch event, so that explains that. Anyways, guys, thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you later.